Is Errol Spence boxing's next mega superstar? We answer that next. Please like and subscribe. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Leave us a comment below. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Friday's Check Hook. A lot to get into. I want to spend the episode, as you can see the title, on Errol Spence Jr. Pay-per-view numbers are in. He did about 400,000 pay-per-view buys in his one-sided unanimous decision victory over lightweight champ Mikey Garcia. It was an excellent performance. It wasn't really vintage Errol Spence in that we saw a different Errol Spence. We didn't see a seek and destroy Errol Spence. We saw Errol Spence jabbing, working behind the jab, moving, avoiding Mikey's return fire. He outlanded Mikey about 350 shots to only about 70 landed by Mikey. So that's almost 5-1. It was that one-sided of a fight. It was a spectacular performance by Spence. But what is a star-making performance? And that's what I want to get into. I projected that this was going to bomb, personally. I thought this was going to bomb as a pay-per-view. I thought it was going to do about 150 to 170. So it did well over twice as much as I expected. I thought it was going to do what Ward Kovalev did. I really did not foresee this doing that many pay-per-view buys. So that's good for Errol Spence. That's good for Mikey Garcia, at least in the short term. They're going to get big checks. Errol Spence tweeted out that he's waiting on his back end, which should be sizable. Good for him. He deserves it. But if it bombed, it would have went back to Showtime, and it would have put more, Spence would have gone back to Showtime. He would have put him in front of more people. I don't know where they go from here. Or Fox, Showtime or Fox. He's going to fight a pay-per-view moving forward, which could be good. It's not the most economic thing to do. Boxing fans are getting hit hard. We saw that DAZN just doubled their monthly fees. If you didn't check your emails, DAZN's going from $9.99 a month to $19.99 a month, unless you buy it for the full year. Then you get a little break in the price. So I think that's going to be your best option. But that's up to you guys. Boxing fans are getting hit hard right now. And now Errol Spence is a pay-per-view fighter. At least for his next time or two out. They're going to test him again. And we'll see where it goes. Now, this is rough because he's the IBF champ. He doesn't have any other belt. So he can't vacate the IBF belt. Otherwise, he doesn't have that negotiating chip. And the IBF makes you take your mandatory. So, his last mandatory he took, it was almost a year ago now against Carlos Ocampo. It was back in June of 2018. Which means he's going to have a mandatory coming up. The IBF makes you take him. They usually take him once a year. He's talking about fighting Manny Pacquiao in July. Maybe he'll take his mandatory again at the end of the year. I don't know. The IBF hasn't called it. So we'll see how that goes. But obviously a Manny Pacquiao Errol Spence fight would be on pay-per-view. And that's fine. That's a fine pay-per-view fight. Even though I think the pay-per-view model is going kind of the wayside. That is one that would fit the bill. And I think it would do quite well. And they're talking about putting it back in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, would be great for me. I loved covering this fight. It was a great event. And I'll get into that more. Spence made it a good event. But here's the thing. There are so many pay-per-views in boxing now, and its biggest star isn't on pay-per-view. Right? The biggest star in boxing, Canelo Alvarez, doesn't fight a pay-per-view in the U.S. Anthony Joshua, the second biggest star in boxing, doesn't fight a pay-per-view in the U.S. So you have all these pay-per-views, but they're not featuring the biggest names in boxing. 400,000 pay-per-view buys is a really good number, and I don't want to diminish it at all. That's a really good number, but you can't survive without your fan base. So how do you reach the product? How do you get Errol Spence? If you want to make Errol Spence the Oscar De La Hoya, the Floyd Mayweather of this era, the post-Mayweather era, you got to get him in front of more than 400,000 people. 400,000 people is what Mayweather did against Gaddy. So, again, it's not a bad number. It's a good number, especially in this day and age. But who can you put him in front that's going to do the De La Hoya number, that's going to do the Canelo number, that's going to do the Pacquiao number? There's no one like that right now. So, the 400,000, Crawford, what do you think that does? Do you think we get to 600,000-700,000 with Crawford? Maybe. But Crawford bombed as a pay-per-view. But we'll see how he does against Khan. But here's my point. Errol Spence boxing needs a new American star, right? Canelo is a star in America, but he's not American, right? So America needs a star, and that's either Deontay Wilder or Errol Spence. Deontay Wilder's going to fight Klitschko. He doesn't seem like he wants to fight Joshua. He wanted to fight Fury. That Fury didn't want to fight him, it seemed like. So I'm not really going to get into that. It doesn't seem like the chips are lining up for Wilder to be that guy. And now he's going back to fight on Showtime, which is good. So we'll see how that does. You know, if that gets 3 million live viewers, 2.5 million live viewers, I think we're in good shape. I think we know where Wilder is, that he's a star. But let's fighting nobody, Brazil, which carries no luster. So everyone's tuning in to watch Wilder. No one's tuning in to see Brazil or the intrigue of the match. Like Wilder Ortiz was intriguing. Even if Ortiz doesn't have a fan base, that fight was intriguing. And it was a good fight. And it paid off. Errol Spence, can he become the star? It's going to be tough. He has the ability. It's not a question of his ability. And he could become the next star. But he's going to have to fight big fights. You know, so he's going to have to fight big fights. He's going to have to take the Oscar De La Hoya model. When Oscar De La Hoya was in his prime, he fought everyone. Whitaker. When he couldn't get Trinidad right away, he fought Quartet, right? So let's take that analogy. Let's take De La Hoya and Trinidad 20 years ago is equivalent to Spence and Bud Crawford today, right? You got two of the top 3 or 4 pound-for-pound guys in the world. I have Spence at 6, but you get my point, right? The two big names. And you can't get them together for promotional reasons. When De La Hoya couldn't get Trinidad after the Whitaker fight, he went and shortly thereafter fought Ike Quartet, the best guy in the division. I thought he lost that fight. I thought Quartet won that fight. It was that De La Hoya had to rally late. He got knocked down late, and he took a split decision. It was a really close fight, really great fight. One of my favorite fights to go back and watch. Great fight. And De La Hoya challenged himself, took the best fights out there. Spence needs to do that. He fought Mikey. It is what it is. Okay? Now he needs to go fight Porter. He needs to go fight Thurman. He needs to go fight Pacquiao. He needs to fight the best names out there and rise to the start. Take it to the next level. Fight every big name out there until he can get Crawford in the ring and make that Crawford fight happen. Make it happen. If he wins, then he'll be the biggest star in the sport. And it deserves to be. But that's what he needs to do, right? De La Hoya made Trinidad take that fight. They made, not that Trinidad didn't want to take the fight. He made Arum and Don King make that fight. He made them make that fight. Spence needs to do that. He needs to have him by early 2020 make that Crawford fight. I don't care. Make the fight. I don't care. Make the fight. Right? When Mayweather wanted to be the pay-per-view star of boxing, when he fought De La Hoya, he didn't care. He took every demand De La Hoya made. Every demand De La Hoya made, Mayweather accepted. Every single one. De La Hoya said the weight, the size of the ring, the size of the gloves, who came out. Every single demand that De La Hoya made, Mayweather took because he was hedging on himself. If I beat De La Hoya, the pay-per-view star, I become the new star. And that paid off, 100-fold. He's making all types of ridiculous money. Mayweather Pacquiao, the biggest pay-per-view sale. Mayweather McGregor too, and then Mayweather Canelo, and then Mayweather De La Hoya. Every single top pay-per-view attraction in boxing has Floyd Mayweather's name attached to it, right? And that was because he was willing to play the B side and concede everything to get the De La Hoya fight. That's what you have to do if you want to be that star, and that's what Errol Spence will have to do. He'll have to combine those two things. He'll have to take every concession. And do whatever has to be done to get that fight with Crawford. But that's the fight that's going to get him there. Can he win that fight? That's a different story. I'll break that down real quick. I'm still leaning towards Crawford, but that is a lot more 50-50 than I would have said 2 weeks ago. Right? If you would have asked me before that fight, before the Mikey Garcia fight, I would have said, no question about it, Terrence Crawford beats him. It's a great fight, but Terrence Crawford's too skilled for him. It's getting closer. It's getting 50-50 now, but I'm still leaning ever so closely towards Terrence Crawford. I think the Pacquiao fight is good for him. I think Pacquiao will make him a bigger star. I think it's a good fight, and I think Spence wins by knockout late. So, I think it's very entertaining while it lasts. So I'm into that fight. I really am. I think the Pacquiao fight's good. And then he may have to take a mandatory. I'm looking up his mandatory right now. There's no one rated number 1 or number 2 in the IBF. So I can't see them making him take another mandatory anytime soon. However, Yeah, so let's not even address that. There's no one ranked 1 or 2. I'm sure they'll have someone square off of that in the near future, and they may make him take a mandatory in 2020, but we'll see how that goes. Errol Spence has the ability to be the star. Does he have the personality? Does he have the personality? He said in a post-fight interview that he doesn't like, he's a low-key guy, he said. He doesn't like going and doing all these interviews, and that was frustrating to him. Well, look, this ain't the NFL. It doesn't have a natural fan base that football has or basketball has, right? You're not LeBron James. You're not Aaron Rodgers. You don't have that natural fan base that's going to naturally lift you a star. You have to sell it yourself. I don't know if Spence wants to do that. And again, it doesn't matter. Crawford doesn't want to sell himself, and for that, Crawford won't be that star. Spence, he seems to be willing to do it. He sold the Mikey fight, but does he want to keep doing it? Does he want to go out and do it like Floyd Mayweather and make himself a star? Put him on every podium. Look, De La Hoya, Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson. They were all massive stars, pay-per-view stars. They all put themselves out in front of the public. Does Errol Spence want to do that? It doesn't seem like he does. And will he want to do it every fight for the next 5, 6, 7 years? I don't know. And that's what he'll have to do to make himself that star. So it's not just the skills he has, right? The skills him and Terrence Crawford right now in or around that weight class are by themselves. So it's just interesting to see, does he personally want it, and can he change his personality enough to make himself that star? He said it was frustrating having to do all these events. You got to live for this. If you want to be a Floyd Mayweather type star, you got to live for that camera. You got to lights, camera, action time, put that persona on. And Spence is such a regular guy. He's such a low-key guy. I don't know that he can do it, and I don't know that he wants to do that. But if that's what he wants, you can do it, right? You just need to say, I'm going to be Mr. Limelight all the time. Because the skills are there, right? The opposition is there. Terrence Crawford is the fight. That fight would be great. I mean, if he wins that fight, whoever wins that fight, it would be the star. Terrence Crawford basically said, I don't want to be a pay-per-view star, more or less, right? By not doing interviews, by not making himself public. He said before the Ndongo fight that he didn't have to do a press obligation, so he didn't, which is weird, right? Because you're complaining that your promoter's not promoting you, but then you say, I don't want to do a press obligation. Look, again, you have to sell yourself. This is an individual sport that doesn't have the same built-in fan base as the NFL or the NBA. It doesn't. So you have to make yourself available. You have to make yourself a star. And Terrence Crawford doesn't seem to want to do that. Does Errol Spence? Because if Errol Spence does, he can be that star. He's got a huge fan base. We saw that. He did 47,000 ticket sales. Floyd Mayweather's never done 47,000 ticket sales. It was a great event. He came out to Lancaster High's marching band. So he had that whole Dallas feel to it. He had the Dallas fan base. He did $400 pay-per-view buys. It's all really good stuff. That is all really, really, really good stuff. So, I mean, that's where we're at now. Errol Spence has a path to becoming the biggest star in boxing. Now, all he has to do is win, which he has the skills to do. He needs to get the Crawford fight. He needs to win that fight, and he needs to sell himself. And it will be the Errol Spence era, right? Richard Schaefer said that post-fight to us during the press conference that this is, it was the Mayweather era, and now it's the Errol Spence Jr. era. That can be the case. It's not the case yet, but it could be the case, right? He could make himself. I don't want to say he could make himself up to Canelo, but he could approach Canelo in his star power if he does those things. If he fights the best guys out there, fight Porter, fight Thurman, fight everybody. Fight Regis Prograis. Make Regis Prograis come up from... I'm just giving you a name. And make sure Crawford fights you. You have to beat Crawford. Because as long as you don't beat... And as long as Crawford doesn't beat Spence, there's always going to be one side or the other. It doesn't matter who Crawford beats. If he doesn't beat Spence, the Spence supporters will say Crawford didn't beat Spence. And vice versa. It doesn't matter who Spence beats. If he doesn't beat Crawford, the Crawford supporters will always say Crawford's better. And I'm one of them that says it is ever so close, but Crawford's just a little bit better. And until Spence beats him, I don't know how you change my mind. Right? He could knock Thurman out in the first 3 rounds. I don't know that it's going to change my mind. So he needs to make that fight. And then he needs to make himself a star. Fight everyone. Get Crawford. Make the Crawford fight happen. I know there's promotional issues. I don't care. Make it happen. And sell yourself. Put yourself. I know it's frustrating to you, Spence. I know that's not your thing. I know you're a low-key guy, like you said. And that's all cool. But if you want it to be the Errol Spence era, you've got to sell yourself. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Let me know what you think about Errol Spence. Can he be the next star? Who do you think he should fight next? Do you like my 3-step game plan for him? Leave your thoughts, comments below. For Friday Chat Cook, from Texas to the world, this is 3D Boxing, saying thank you and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.